In this video, we're gonna let you know exactly what's happening right here in the San Diego real estate market. We're gonna hop into 3 different stories of 3 recent sellers that we have helped out right here in the local market and kind of dive in a little bit behind the scenes, kind of what the competition was like, what the pricing was like. And these homes are in 3 different price points in 3 different areas of North County, San Diego. So you get some good insight into each different price point and kind of get an idea of what's going on right here in the San Diego real estate market. And if you guys are getting some value out of what you're seeing, be sure to throw us a thumbs up and subscribe. We're dropping new videos right here on everything San Diego real estate. And if you guys need some specific help with your specific real estate situation, either buying or selling, feel free to reach out. I'm Chris Erickson. We got a real estate team right here in North County, San Diego. And all of our contact info is right down in the first link of the description below. So feel free to reach out. We got your back when making the move here in San Diego. So the first property we're hopping into is a starter home up in Carlsbad, detached homes. All 3 of the examples today were detached homes. Condos are similar story to what's going on here, but price points are a little bit lower. So depending on where you are, it might be a little bit different. The starting price point, this property came on the market just about $1.14 million. It needed some work. It was priced accordingly. And there was some discussion of, should we fix up the property, kind of put in maybe new flooring, new paint, depending on like a few different situations, like how much do we want to improve the property, if at all, before we put it on the market. So went through a few different situations of doing like a full-on remodel, just doing some touch-up stuff. Ended up being the sellers just wanted to put it straight on the market and let's run from there. So the first weekend it came on the market and our team members were holding some open houses. Pretty darn busy throughout the whole time, plus a bunch of other showings just scheduled around the open houses. And the property was vacant, so showings could basically happen at any time. So it was just a consistent flow of people going through the property. And just a few stats just so you could kind of ballpark, you know, what you're looking at. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just over 1,400 square foot. Like I mentioned earlier, it did need some work. It was well lived in. But even with all that, the home was only on the market 4 days before it did go under contract. There was 12 offers in total. Now, a lot of these offers were cash offers. So what we've been seeing lately, any of those, you know, those entry-level homes, and I'm calling this entry-level because this was basically one of the best priced homes for a detached home in all of Carlsbad. That's what we're looking at these days. $1.2 million is kind of that starting price point. So a lot of the cash offers did come in. Now, you, on your property, you could get cash offers all day. There's a lot of people out there looking to buy homes for cash. If you don't want to deal with anything, then maybe you can just take a cash offer. Is it the best thing for you? Well, it just really depends on your situation. Do you want the house gone? You don't want to deal with anything? Yeah, it might be worth it. Obviously, you're likely giving up some upside potential of hitting the open market, but it is an option here. So a lot of the offers that did come in, not a lot, a handful of offers that did come in were cash offers, as you would expect, a little bit lower than list price. Honestly, for what cash offers, what you expect a cash offer to be at, they were relatively close to the list price. Now, some were way below, some were a little bit closer, but still, it wasn't too bad. On this property, the sellers did end up choosing an offer that went about $100,000 above list price, but that's not the full story. I'll tell you here in a second. So the offer that was chose was not cash, but they did have a quick close. And if you're thinking, how do I compete with cash? If you are a buyer out there, a lot of lenders these days can close a property, basically get everything they need done within 21 days. So this was actually a 21-day close as well. And during this time, the buyers are doing their inspections. Typically here in San Diego, you're gonna do your general home inspection, just check out all the major systems, see what's going on. Obviously, as the buyers went through the property the first time, they knew there was gonna be some work, but until you really dig in and get these inspections done, you don't know exactly how much work is going to be done. Another very typical inspection that you're going to see here in San Diego is termite inspection. So when you get into a home, you have a certain amount of time that was agreed upon, usually 10 to 17 days to do your inspections. This is when they do all the inspections that we just checked about. After finding stuff, they submitted something called a request for repairs. After they submitted, there's some negotiation. The buyers ended up getting about $20,000 credit for some termite work, some electrical, a few other issues that they did find in the house that they didn't see the first time they went through. And then they also got a $20,000 credit for a rate buy down. So with that $20,000 rate buy down credit, they are able to buy their interest rate down for a specific amount of time. It could be the whole length of the loan, it could be a 2-1 buy down. Talk with your lender, see what is available, if anything. And it really comes down to, is the seller gonna accept that? but nonetheless, they did end up with about a $40,000 credit. So that initial price that was $100,000 over the list price came down to about $60,000 above list price. And so any of those starter neighborhoods, any of those starter price points that you do see in any city really in here in San Diego has still seen significant competition. Second property is out in Olivenhain. If you guys know Olivenhain, it's a little bit more rural. It's on the eastern portion of Encinitas. Really cool place. There's not a ton of homes that come on the market in there, but all the homes, most of the homes have bigger lots. They're spread out a little bit. It's a little bit less of that suburban feel as you get out there. This home was on just shy of an acre lot. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, about 21-ish 100 square foot. So smaller home, but on a nice big lot where you can have, our clients had some chickens and goats and just room to play, to roam. So these kind of properties in this price point in Olivenhain. So this, how that other one in Carlsbad, that was like starter price point for there. This is like starter price point for that Olivenhain section. So the property was listed just shy of $2.3 million, and it ended up being on the market for 8 days. Now that doesn't tell the whole story. It came on the market. Our clients wanted to wait that first weekend, so it came on earlier in the week, about a Wednesday, did a broker caravan where all the real estate agents can come through, check it out, get their eyeballs on it, tell our clients about it to get out there for that weekend. Had showings out throughout the weekend. I believe ended up being about 27 showings through Saturday and Sunday. And there was a lot of interested parties. Ended up getting 3 offers. All 3 offers were well under list. They were all cash. So we were having conversations and negotiating with the interested buyers. And one of the parties decided to go up to actually even a little bit above where we had the home listed. So it did go to under contract in 8 days, and it was a cash deal. So there was no loan contingency, meaning the buyer didn't have to worry about working through a loan and getting all their documents to a lender. So that takes a little bit of risk out of that for a home seller. Because there's basically 3 main contingencies or ways for buyers to get out of a contract. There is your inspections, if there's anything found in inspections that didn't meet par. There's a loan contingency, and then there's an appraisal contingency. I would say a lot of deals, obviously all conventional deals where you are dealing with a lender, are gonna have a loan and appraisal. Now, a few years ago, we saw those not written into contracts some of the time because the competition was so fierce that for the buyer to actually get the home, they had to take those out and just keep their inspection contingency. And sometimes even that was written out. Even with it being a cash deal, it was still ended up being a 30-day close. And that was partially due because our clients were moving to a new property. They needed some time to switch over. So a quicker deal in this situation, meaning a quicker close, wouldn't necessarily been beneficial for them. Now, where the Carlsbad property had about $40,000 worth of concessions, this property only had about 3,300-ish, maybe a little bit more, for termite work. They didn't necessarily have to tent the house, but there was some woodwork that had to be done. There was some heat treatment. There was some subterranean termites. So all that got taken care of through the escrow process, and there was a very tiny concession as well. So with the Olivenhain house and the Carlsbad house, those, even the different price points, they're still that starter price point for those neighborhoods. Now hopping into a third property that actually will be closing probably today when we drop this video, but it's a home over in Cardiff, was listed just shy of $4 million. And this was a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, about 3,500 square foot, really nice property. Now, typically as you go up in price point, the amount of competition, the amount of buyers out there goes down a little bit. So this home did see a little bit longer market time, but we were able to get the property under contract in 17 days. Now that was the first time because it actually did fall out of contract. So the initial buyer came in, did their inspections, they decided the home wasn't for them. It ended up being not necessarily anything with the home. It was just kind of a change of heart, change of mind. So they decided to back out of the property. So now the home came back on the market. It was in escrow for about 7 to 10 days or so, came back on the market. And at that point, when homes come back on the market, you do have another initial pop. It's kind of like when the home first comes on the market, but the longer the home sits, the less interest you have, the less showings you start getting. So typically in Cardiff, the average days on time was about 34-ish days. So we were coming towards that. So we did decide to do an open house campaign. The first day of the open house, Saturday, I think there was about 9 or 10 groups through. And some were agents, some were just neighbors, but we did have some interest there. On Sunday, we held the house open. We actually only had 1 interested party coming through the house. Now, those people did write an offer on the property, but it was well below what our clients were willing to take. So our clients didn't even end up countering back. Now back to that first offer, the offer price, or where we got into escrow at, was a little bit below the list price. But as the home sat a little bit longer, as we didn't get any offers, now we were still getting showings. It was still consistent, a few showings a week. In this type of property, like 4 to 6 showings a week at 30 plus days in the market is pretty solid. So we were still getting activity going through there. Ended up getting an offer and getting under contract in 38 days. So our clients never had to drop the price on the listing. Now the final price was a little bit below that $3.8 million mark. Plus there was also some furniture included in the deal. So it wasn't at our initial list price. It was a little bit below where we put on the market. But we were having the conversations, if this offer didn't work out, we were potentially going to have to adjust the price down a little bit to get more parties interested, bring it to closer to where that first offer did come in at, just because that's what the market was telling us. Here's where you list at, here's where the offers are coming in at. So it should be somewhere around that mark. And that's ultimately where we ended up. Now the escrow period, the time it was in escrow was 30 days. And this situation was kind of a hybrid of a cash offer and a loan. So the buyers rather, did end up getting a loan on the property, but it was a hard money loan. So they had already had those discussions before they had all their ducks in a row. Hard money is basically where you're purchasing a property. It's usually a short-term loan with a higher interest rate. So they are trying to figure out what they're doing with their current home, but they wanted this property. So that was one of the avenues that they could go. Now with this, they did not have a loan or an appraisal contingency. They only had their inspection contingency. But since that first buyer did all of their inspections, she did a thorough job from the initial home inspection to sewer, to roof, to a bunch of other stuff, that we were able to provide the current buyer with all of those. And so actually in the end, they were able to see upfront right away what the property was, see things that you couldn't see when you were just walking around the property. So at the end, there was actually no concessions, meaning there was no credits or anything like that offered. It was just, okay, we knew where it was. We didn't find anything in our inspections. Now let's move forward. And let me know if you guys like this kind of content where we're kind of just telling stories of what's really happening out there, so that we could potentially make more. Maybe we could do a buyer's one, what we're seeing out there as we're writing offers for buyers, and kind of going in that direction. But if you guys are thinking about making a move and you got some questions, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info is in the first link right down below. And we got your back with making the move here in San Diego.